Good morning! Hi, cubies and newbies. I am Sunshine, and I had an unscheduled vacation. Took a fall and landed in the ER and took a couple of weeks to recover away from my computer, sadly, or else I'd still be here. So I am here now. Yay! I am back. I took a couple weeks to recover, but then I was staying at my son's house, and my grandbabies needed a babysitter because their regular babysitter has COVID. So I stayed a little longer than was absolutely necessary so I could be grandma. And I am back now, and I'm ready to solve some cubes. I think I've lost all my following because I was gone for so long. But yeah. ABCube method. Formula A is 4 moves. Formula B is 8 moves. It works on every size, every complexity Rubik's Cube. You don't need to, there's no real order of operations, and you don't need to worry about parities because parities are a lie. They are caused by a center row being a quarter turn off that you can't tell because you don't have an absolute center to orient by like you do on a 3x3. So you make that thing, so you come up with a parity, make that quarter turn, and that's all that's needed, and A and B will solve everything else. So, la-di-da-di-da. I will just sit here and monologue until people can't show up. Start with the corners. I start with yellow just because this one has 3 whites. Let's start with white today. Okay, so we've got first step is to bring your active color to the top, so there's active color is white. Is there a white here? No. Is there a white here? Yes. If there's a white in one of these two places, then formula A will bring it to the top. Formula A is 4 moves. It's the one row and one column. For the corners, it's the bottom row and the right column. And this piece is going to come here, so we move it away from the action. We move the space it's going to land in down. We bring the cube back into that space, and the cube and the space back up again. So it's out, down, in, up. And we do it until, as long as your color is in one of these two squares, doing formula A until it's on the top layer. And it will be on the top layer in 5 or less moves. And there we go. All right, that's the first step. I had fun with, hi you guys, I had fun with my 3-year-old grandbaby. I had a 2x2 there, and so he spent time twisting it. He and his 2-year-old and 1-year-old, they spent time twisting my cube. I had the 2-year-old and the void cube, the 2x2 and the void cube. The 2x2 was just the right size for the 3-year-old to turn, and the void cube was just the right size for the little one's hands to be able to grab through the center and carry it around. So, so I learned a new formula. Hi, hey Sam, how you doing? It's my nephew there. Hi, I'm doing better. I'm just telling stories on your cousin's, your second cousin's once removed. So the 3-year-old was twisting the cube, and the 1-year-old was carrying the void cube around. And I found a new meaning for speed cubing because they'll twist the cube and then they'll give it to you, and they'll be patient enough for you to have it for 1, 2, maybe 10 seconds, and then they grab it back again. So I had to try to solve the cube during those split seconds that I had it in my hand before they took it back and walked away with it again. So that was fun. All right. So anyway, the 3-year-old got pretty good at twisting it, and his mom said, "Hey, Grandma Bomb can teach you how to do that if you want." And so I pulled him up on my lap. He said he wanted to, so I pulled him up on my lap, and I was showing him. I was making his hands move the formula A, going out, down, in, up. And so, for about a few minutes, I was making his hands do the formula A and, talking him through it, out, down, and up. and then he started moving it while I was holding it, and then he took the cube away from me and started doing it on his own. And I would, I just kept giving him the right setup to bring a color to the top. He'd pick a color and he'd bring it to the top, and he'd be so excited to take the cube, and he'd go run, mommy, 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 like I did orange. Oh, kids are so fun. So yeah, so I had to, the 2x2 and the void cube I could only play with when it wasn't in their hands. So so that was fun. Hey you guys, I missed you. I missed you guys. As I said, I had a fall. I recovered at my son's house, and as I was recovering, their babysitter came down with COVID, so I stepped in to my role as grandma. So, but I'm back now, sadly. However, you guys, I do have to cat sit for them while they go out of town. So I will be away from my computer for about a week, beginning next Thursday through Thanksgiving. So I'll be away while I cat sit them while they're out of town. Otherwise, I'm back. Hey, you guys, how y'all doing? All right, so first color, I did white today because I had 3 whites on the same side. Working on the corners first, you bring a color to the top using formula A. Then we've only looked at one color of the corners. So we're only looking at the corners though. We don't care about anything else. So we're looking at the corners. We're looking to see if the other colors match. And green does not equal red. Blue equals blue. Orange does not equal green, and orange does not equal red. So when you have your color on top on all 4 corners, you are Trucker Sam here, who said hi, he has not learned this method because he's my nephew, and so I taught him the standard method, this one, the one that I learned back when he was young. And he's got this adult mentality of, no, I already know how to do it, I don't need to learn. So, but I taught his daughters, and oh boy, they're doing really well. I'm like, your daughters can solve the 5 and the 6 by cubes, and you can only solve the 3 by 3. So I told him I'm going to put a 4x4 in his hand and see how far he can get, and see whether I can convince him to learn this method. All right, so corners are on top. At this point, either one side matches, all sides match, or no side matches, and we've got the blue side that matches. It has to be one of those 3 unless you've taken the cube apart and put it back together wrong, or unless you've pulled field stickers off and put them on wrong, because of the nature of the cube. You cannot have 2 sides that match and have the other 2 not match unless you've peeled stickers off. So when you have no sides that match, it doesn't matter which way you hold it. If you have all sides that match, then you go on to the next step. But if you have one side that match, you put that matching side facing away. It's hard to unlearn things. It absolutely is. Sam, that was the hardest thing about doing this, about creating this method, is because I'd get to a spot and I'd recognize a pattern and I'm like, oh, I know how to do that. And then I'm like, wait, if I do that, I have to write that down in my book. Do I want to add another formula for everyone to have to learn? Or can I figure out a way to do this with just my A and B? And so that was the hardest part of creating this method, was forcing my brain to ignore all of the patterns that I knew. Very, very difficult. So the side that matches faces away from you, and we do formula B. Formula B is going to move 3 pieces around. That's all it ever does. And so top row 2 columns, and for the corners it's the outside columns. So slide first up, slide second up, slide first down, slide second down. Sorry, Sam, didn't mean to embarrass you. It is hard to unlearn things, but all right. So, and then we already know formula A brings the color back to the top. So out, down, in, up. I'm glad you're here just keeping me company, Sam. You do not have to learn anything that you don't want to learn. And as long as you're happy with the beginner's method, that is perfectly fine. Because ultimately this is a toy, and its purpose is for you to have fun with. So, as long as you're having fun, that's fine. But it was funny though, because his daughter, he turned to his daughter and said, hey, I'll give you $1 if you can solve that cube without Grandma's help. And she looked at me like, can I do it? Oh, not Grandma, but Aunt Sandy's help. Your doll, if you, she looked at me like, can I do it? You know, can I do it? Do you have faith in me? Do you believe in me? Kind of that look in her eyes. I'm like, I just scoffed at Sam and said, of course she can do it. And so she just went right to it and did it, and then did it again and did it again. So that's fun. All right, so the whites are on top again. This time the sides match. And so we take these cubes, we put them to the bottom, and we ignore them. We abandon them because they will take care of themselves. And we're working with the second 4 corners, and you have to find out what color they all have in common. And it is opposite white is yellow. You don't have to know that. You can just look and see what they all have in common. And as a tip, it's not one of the colors that's touching red. So it's touching the white. So it's not red or green or orange or blue. So of course it is yellow. I usually start with yellow and it's white, but opposite white is yellow. So none of them are on the top already, so it just doesn't matter where we start. And I'm going to do Formula A. I'm just having fun with that cube where all the pieces are different. Oh, I loaned him a mirror cube, you guys. the bump cube. Which is just a 3x3, but you have to train yourself to look for the distances instead of for the colors. And so he's having fun with that. And good morning, you guys. I'm glad to be back. All right, so my whites are done. Their white corners are done. They're face down. I'm going to use Formula A to bring the yellows to the top. And because it's the second 4 corners, there'll always be multiple of 2. Yellows on top. Slide the top to protect it. Don't turn the cube because then the bottoms will get scrambled. Okay, and Formula A again to bring this one to the top. So can you solve it, Sam? Yellow's on top, slide to protect it, keep going. Out, down, in, up. Out, down, in, up. Keep going. Sorry for the unscheduled absence. I took a fall and landed in the ER room, and I've been recovering at my son's house and playing grandma there. Yellow's on top. Okay, and as we can see, our white, the bottom hasn't changed. If you look at, the reason why I said we abandoned it, because if you look at it while you're still in the middle of bringing your second color to the top, it will look like it's scrambled, and you'll say, oh no, I have to start all over again. No, you don't. All right, so yellow's on top. The mirror cube, yeah. The one where the pieces are all different. Am I okay? I took a fall, landed in the ER. I was not okay. However, I did not hit my head, no concussion, did not break any bones. My vitals were fine. They said, "You're good. You can go home now." And I'm like, so that was not my favorite experience in the world. Blue sides match, so they go to the back. But yes, I'm okay. I recovered. And I am going to be babysitting for my son. I'm going to be house sitting for my son while they go out of town for Thanksgiving. So I will have another a week long stint away from my computer over Thanksgiving. But otherwise, I'm so glad to be back. I've missed doing this with you guys. Who else here? It's great to see familiar names. All right, so blue matches, goes to the back. That's what I bought it for. Sam says he's training himself to solve it in the dark. That is actually what I bought it for, because it's like, as a passenger in the car, as you're driving home, whatever, you can't really see the colors, or you're in bed and you don't want to have to get out of bed to turn the light back on, but you still want to solve. I bought the mirror cube thinking I could solve it in the dark, and but because the one I bought and the one I gave him, unfortunately, does not have magnets, and so it has to be like perfectly lined up in order to turn it, and so you can't really do it in the dark. You can try, and if you can do it, Sam, better person than me, better cuber than me. But however, the GAN mirror cube does have magnets, and oh, that makes such a difference. I can solve that one in the dark. Okay, so blue matches facing away, formula B, and top row, 2 columns. And if you look at formula B, it's a mathematical 0. It's a commutator. So for every up there's a down, for every left there's a right, every other move is horizontal, every other horizontal is the reverse of the one before it. It's not going to move anything but what you want to move. So slide the top first up, slide the top second up, slide the top first down, slide the top second down, and then formula A to bring your corner color back to the top. And because one side had matched, this time they will all match because we moved 3 of them around to rotate the top, not the cube, to get to the next piece to effect. Okay, slide the top. Out, down, and up, out, down, and up. And now they all match to each other. The first 4 cubes are happy with each other. Second 4 cubes, the first 4 are still happy, the second 4 are happy. All you gotta do now is rotate the top row until the top and bottom are matched to each other. And the 8 corners are done. Boom. And I work the outside in, simply because every cube has the 8 corners, so I can start with the 8 corners, and I can start with everybody at the same time. I can teach up to, I'm set up for Zoom. I can teach up to 4 people online at the same time, and just by getting them all to do the same thing. So we start with the corners, and then the corners are done. Alrighty. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm okay. Training in the dark. All right. So, that the corners are done, and then once when I'm teaching in real life, I say, okay, that's great. Now scramble it and do it again. Now do it on this cube. Now do it on this cube. You're doing so well. Just keep doing the corners. And I get them to do the corners until they're really comfortable with A and B, and then I say, okay, now that's all you need to know for all the rest of the cube. Everything else is still just A and B. There's nothing more to learn. You don't have to learn new things because the cubes get bigger. It's the same thing. So if on a 2x2, it's easy to know what rows to use. When you move to a bigger cube, if you're the B is the top row and 2 columns. When you use the outside columns, it moves the corners around. If you move an outside-inside column as your 2 columns, it moves edges around. And if you move to inside columns as your 2 columns for B, then it moves the edge pieces around. But it's still slide up, slide down, always. So, so that's it. That's the corners done. To demonstrate the sides, if I do these 2 columns and ignore this column altogether, then slide up, slide down, and again, it only moves 3 pieces. Only ever moves 3 pieces. And so the 2 columns that you're going to, you don't have to remember which 2 columns do which things, because you just have to pick a piece that's wrong and apply it where it wants to go. I'll do this again. Slide up, slide down, slide down. So that moved these 3 pieces, and then it moved them again. So again, this one, I'm going to demonstrate. You find a cube that's wrong, and you determine where it wants to go. So it either wants to go to the left or to the right. It wants to go to the color of the top piece, so that you've got the corners matching the front piece. And so it's going to go over here. So the 2 columns are where it's going to land is column 1, and where it begins is column 2. So slide up, slide down, and it'll always move 3 cubes around. And that's the thing, is that a parity is where it looks like there's 2 pieces and only 2 pieces that need to move, and it happens on a 4x4 or the void cube. It happens somewhere where you cannot see the absolute center of that layer. So it does not happen on a 3x3 because we build around the center, because the center doesn't move. And so, but you can't tell. That kind of became irrelevant when we came up with a 4x4. But if you have two pieces, and you cannot have a parity on the centerpieces because because of the mathematics of the cube, where every centerpiece can be correct in one of 4 places, you're just not going to have a way where you can have 2 pieces out of place. It'll always be 3 pieces. It might look like 2 because 2 of them are the same color, but it's always 3 pieces. So, but on the corners and the edges you can. We don't really pay attention to it when it's on a corner, unless we've been solving the reduction method. Whichever layer has the 2 pieces that need to switch, 1/4 that there's always 3 pieces. So you got, if this piece wants to be here, 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 whatever your parity looks like, the row that touches that parity, the slice that touches that parity, is a 1/4 turn off. And so you make that 1/4 turn in either direction, and now mathematically that parity has just dissolved. And so that's why I do not favor doing the edges first, because when you make that 1/4 turn, your edges will be fine, but then you'll have to reset your centers if you already did that. But I did my centers last, so I don't care. All right, no one wants to say hi to me. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for joining me this morning. I really appreciate that. I was like, I missed my streaming. Okay, all right, so corners are done. ABCube solves every complexity Rubik's Cube. Parities are undone by a single 1/4 turn. It works on this as well. Works on the minxes as well. And the difference being is that if your 2 columns include the center, like if you're moving this edge piece, or you're moving the arm of the point of the star, or the arm of the star, if your 2 columns involve the centerpiece, then you have unintended consequences. It moves these corner pieces, these corner range pieces as well. So on this cube, we're about to be invaded by a kitty cat. Hi, kitty. Hi, kitty. Where'd you go? Where's my kitty? Up on the top of the microwave. So on these cubes, if you do the star first before you do the corners, then because the star parts will have unintended consequences on these parts, but you can solve these parts without moving the star parts. So if you do the star first and then the corner pieces, whether that corner edge or center with the corner range pieces, if you do those last, then everything's fine. So A and B does this as well. I will demonstrate what A and B does. Column 1, column 2, which means I'm going to move this column somewhere, this piece somewhere, because this is the piece that I'm going to move, and it's the top row, and the 2 columns are where it's going to land and where it's going to begin. So slide up, slide up, slide down, slide down, and it moves 3 pieces around, these 3 pieces around. If you do, if I'm doing the top and the outside columns, it's going to move the corners, slide up, slide up, has to be lined up, slide down, and it moves these 3 pieces around. Let's do it again. Slide up, slide down, and again, these 3 corners around. This one moves here, this one moves here, this one moves there. Okay. So you can either move these 3 edges or 3 corners. You can do the centers as well. Let's do a center here. I'm going to move this piece up. So I go up, slide, second up, reverse, down, and then set the top, and we moved these 3 pieces around. So formula B will do that. Formula A will twist the cubes. You can't use formula A on the absolute center because of the way it's made, but formula A will twist your top row cube in a multiple of 6. So So that's it. There's that. That feels like a good pausing place. Thank you guys for joining me. I love you all. Missed you all. And I will be back. Well, let's see, today's Saturday. So I may pop in tomorrow if I feel like it. And I'll be here Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. And then I'm going to be cat sitting. So you guys all go have a wonderful day. You deserve it. Be nice to yourself. Drink lots of water. And I will see you guys later. Bye.